Hi, welcome to the CSE podcast. I'm your host, Barrington Miller, Director of Issuer Engagement, and today I'm here with Johnson Joseph, CEO of Peak Fintech Group. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Barrington. Thanks for having me.
For those of you who may have been following our CSE podcast and things of that nature, this might be a familiar face. We might be two familiar people because we did an interview, I'm going to say 2, maybe 3 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, which you can find on YouTube under, CSE TV. And we were talking a little bit at the time about Peak Positioning, which has changed their name to, of course, Peak Fintech. If you haven't had the pleasure of listening to that interview, you don't have to, because now we're here. But we're going to do it all over again, except with updates. So tell us, what does Peak do in the markets? What's your business model?
Okay. Very high level description of what we do, Barrington, is we bring together, we manage an ecosystem of small, medium-sized businesses and financial institutions. Now, the original idea, and that's still the idea, is to allow small business to have easier access to credit. When I say easier access, small businesses, whenever they need loans, sometimes they'll go to a bank, they'll knock on the door, and the bank will ask them for a set of documents, analyze, blah, blah. And then more often than not, the answer is no, right? So this was the old way of doing things. Now, what we brought to the market, we said, okay, you know what? If you're a small business, join our ecosystem, give us access to your information, to your business information directly from your accounting software, right? So that we know exactly how well your business is doing in real time. We can go back, we can analyze your business's performance much greater detail than any human could do, because we use analytics to do that, right? So we also invite financial institutions, lending financial institutions, to be part of this ecosystem. And all they have to do is they have to tell the ecosystem, the platform, what they're looking for in terms of the ideal borrowing client, right? So they enter their criteria, and essentially the platform matches the small businesses with the right lending opportunities, and boom, that's it. And that's how we charge a fee. So whenever there's a match being made, we charge a fee.
You are a dating service for lending.
Exactly. So we use basically, like eHarmony uses whatever, I can't remember what their thing is, but like we use analytics and artificial intelligence to make sure the right lenders are matched with the right borrowers, and we minimize loan default rates for the lending financial institutions, which is key in what we do.
Now, do banks use your platform, use your service?
Yes, we have banks, we have leasing companies, we have alternative lenders. If you are a bona fide financial institution and you're authorized to make loans, you can be part of the Business Hub ecosystem.
Now, what are the types of businesses? And obviously you're in the analytics business. What kind of businesses are seeking loans? What are they using it for? Is there a trend? Is it the same as it was 3 years ago, as it is today? Can you give some insight into that?
Yeah, listen, there are all kinds of businesses. Any small business, whether you're a restaurant, retailer, even some consultants, it doesn't matter, right? If you're a business, and it's not just like, originally we thought it was going to be, for business improvements, blah, 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 and stuff like that. But what we find right now is that a lot of businesses are using the ecosystem as a way to manage their cash flow on a regular basis. So they will basically need short-term loans for 30 days, 60 days. They've made a sale. They need access to their cash quickly. They're like, oh, okay, you know what? I have an offer here. Let me just borrow $10,000 for the next 30 days or whatever. So all kinds of businesses for all kinds of reasons. We don't limit anything. It could be, to finance the purchase of equipment, if you're a factory or whatever and stuff like that. So whatever you can think of a business would need funding for, Barrington, we facilitate.
And you're operating out of China, or the platform is in China? Is that correct?
That is right. Yeah.
Now, are there any plans for it to expand to other countries in Asia or even more globally?
Well, that's a good question. The actual technology was developed here in Canada, right, by a company called Kubler, which, by the way, I'm also one of the co-founders of Kubler. So there's a transaction potentially being done between Peak and Kubler. I can't talk. I
Oh
can't
no,
talk too
don't
much
talk.
about the
Nope,
transaction
don't.
right now,
Nope.
but it's in the public domain already. So there's something in the works. But yes, Peak is looking to come to North America with the ecosystem concept.
Now, since you brought up Kubler, I don't know why I have so much trouble pronouncing that. What is it? What does it do? And how does it tie into Peak?
Well, Kubler is the technology at the base of what Peak is doing right now. It's also the concept itself, right? So we borrowed the technology and we borrowed the concept of the ecosystem where we bring together small businesses and lenders together. So that was originated in Canada here, and we ported that over to China. Started to operate the ecosystem in 2018. And we had a bit of a slow start in 2018. We generated, I think, $1.6 million in revenue. A year later, 2019, we scaled that up to, I think it was $11.7 million in 2019. 2020, we did $42 million. And this year for 2021, we're forecasting in excess of 100 million. So you can see how quickly the revenue is scaling. That's because more and more people, more and more small businesses are flocking to the ecosystem and attracting more lenders as well. So it keeps growing and growing and growing. So now that we've proven the concept, we've more than proven the concept, I would say, in China. There are obviously more opportunities to expand in China. China is a country of, it's an estimated 115 million small, medium-sized micro businesses. So there is a ton of room to continue to grow the business in China. But the concept itself, we believe, lends itself to other regions of the world, right? So the problem that small and medium-sized businesses have to access credit, it's not just a Chinese problem, right? We all know we have the small
Right.
businesses in Canada, the US, and the UK, Europe, whatever, have the same issue. So the plan is to eventually expand this concept to other parts of the world, starting
Now,
with North America.
you can't be the only players in the space because there's just too much. What differentiates Peak from the competitors that may be out there?
That's an excellent question. Our biggest advantage, Barrington, is that Business Hub is a lending platform. We can talk about like when there are more things that we've added now. So we changed the name just recently from Lending Hub to Business Hub, and we'll get into why in a minute. But to answer your question, what separates Peak from the competition? Most lending platforms out there are focused on consumers. Okay, they do consumer loans. They are either lenders themselves. The platform itself is a lender, and they focus on consumers. Peak is the only one with the Kubler Business Hub that focuses exclusively on B2B, businesses to businesses, right? So we bring together small businesses and lending financial institutions. It's not a P2P platform, meaning that you cannot be an individual and you have a lot of money and you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to lend through the Business Hub. You cannot do that. You have to be a financial institution. You have to be regulated by the government as a financial institution for you to be a member of the world and of the hub. And as a business, you can't be a consumer. Yes, if you are a sole proprietor and you own a business, yes, you can be there and board, but you have to be a business. So we're the only company really that focuses exclusively on B2B, and that's our niche.
Well, it's and that's good for the investors too, because you said a key word, and that is regulated. It provides some sort of safety not only to the investors, but of course to Peak as well, and to actually to everybody in the ecosystem. That is really, really good. Now, at the CSE, we have a lot of cannabis companies, and I'm not sure where cannabis stands as of today in China. I believe that it's
It doesn't
still
stand anywhere.
doesn't stand anywhere. I believe it is still illegal. But I would be curious if and when the Peak platform relocates to other areas that do accept cannabis companies, if this same model would still apply, or if there'd be different types of tweakings that would be needed per jurisdiction. I think it's really, really good. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the most important thing that we do is wherever we end up going, we have to follow the local laws, right? Local jurisdictions, right? For lending, for doing business in general. So we're in China right now. We respect the rules that are set up by the government in China to operate in China. If we come to North America, once we come to North America, I should say, on the lending side, we have to respect, in Canada, we have to respect Canadian rules, right? For lending. Once we're in the US, it's the same thing. So going back to your cannabis question, cannabis is legal here in Canada, right? So if you own and operate a cannabis store or whatever, you're a small business,
you're a small business.
You're a small business. You want to register on this platform and have access to loans, credit. You want to network, you want to advertise, you want to do whatever, you can be part of the ecosystem for sure.
When you were talking in the beginning and explaining so eloquently about what it is Peak does and what the light bulb went off for me when you said companies open up their books. They open up, they show you what's under the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that might be another opportunity if, say, Peak were to do an investment arm, because now you get to take a look at what's under the hood, and maybe this company that is showing you and revealing is really, really good. And perhaps Peak or somebody that's affiliated with Peak may want to make an investment. Is that a consideration?
When you say an investment, are you talking about like potentially acquiring like businesses that are part of the ecosystem?
Acquiring, helping, just, you get to see, you get an insight into.
That's a bit of a tricky question. We don't get to see really, Barrington. What I mean by that is it's all done behind the scenes. It's all analytics and AI, right? So there's nobody at Peak that actually sees the information, right, from the businesses. Like, I mean, we don't see what this company's receivables are or whatever and stuff like that. Nobody sees that. So it's all, the information basically gets pulled by, it's an API link, it gets pulled from the accounting system, and nobody sees that. The actual analytics engine does all of the work, right, automatically.
Okay. And
the AI kicks in, so nobody really sees. The information is anonymized completely, so we don't really know. Like, how well Joe's Pizzeria is doing, for example. The platform does, and the platform will match Joe's Pizzeria with, I don't know, like the Laurentian Bank or whatever. I'm using an example here in North America, for a loan, but nobody at the company actually sees this information.
Okay. All right. I just thought I saw another revenue stream for Peak. Not that you need it with the growth that you're having. Not that you need it.
What's that?
Not that you need it with the growth that you've had.
We can always use more growth.
For sure.
But we have to respect the privacy and everything, like about the data of our clients and stuff like that. So yeah, everything is encrypted, anonymized, and when we do, we also aggregate the information for different uses. And there are other ways where we plan on monetizing that data, but we do it in a way that always protects the privacy of our clients.
Now, I want to touch on a topic or subject that might be a little bit delicate. Based on the jurisdiction that you're operating in, it's fair to say it's been in the news a lot. There's been information about China,
mm-hmm.
positive and not so positive. And I don't want to get into the geopolitical aspect or things like that, but I do want to take on an investor mindset. And what sort of things in your experience, in Peak's experience, would ease an investor's mind operating in China, especially when you're hearing a lot of the noise that you're hearing in media, both social and in print?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Listen. So far, I have to say, Barrington, our experience in China has been extremely positive. China is a country of laws. Like, I mean, again, I don't want to touch on the geopolitical aspect or whatever and stuff like that, but what they have done is they've told us from day one what the rules are. Like, I mean, for where we want to operate, they told us from day one what the rules are, right? And we actually work with the government in China at different levels to make sure, hey, this is a foreign institution, this is a foreign company here, trying to do business in China. So we told them what we wanted to do, and they recognized that we would be bring value to various industries. The supply chain in China has benefited a lot from our services and will continue to do so. We felt the economies locally where business operates. So the government has been very, very supportive of what we do. Now, to touch on what you may have heard recently about, companies, fintech specifically, companies getting shut down or whatever, ride-sharing companies getting their apps pulled and stuff like that. I've seen it all. Like, I follow the stuff. But what you have to understand is the Chinese government is really very, very protective of their citizens. Okay, so what they're trying to do, and some citizens are more vulnerable than others, right? So they will download an app, they'll give information or whatever. And what is happening is some of these companies are basically pulling information on citizens without really them knowing, and they're using that information without the citizens being aware of what they're doing with that information. So the government felt that they needed to step in to protect their citizens. Now, in the fintech space, in particular, when fintech started to boom in China, consumers, again, remember there's a big difference between what we do. We're a B2B. We're not in the consumer space at all, right? But there are a lot of consumers that all of a sudden had easy access to credit, Barrington, and it was just like a free-for-all. People were just borrowing money that they could not repay, and it was leading to tragic situations. They were getting harassed by, creditors, and they couldn't pay. And unfortunately, some people ended up taking drastic, like, I don't want to say, but they ended up harming themselves, let's just say, and it was creating a lot of chaos. And so the government knew that they needed to step in and put an end to all of this, right? So that's why they started to crack down. Some of the P2P, peer-to-peer platforms were the most responsible for that. So the government stepped in and put an end to all of that. And they started to put more regulations in the whole industry. Now, I'm not saying all of the companies that are being investigated by the government in China are guilty of these practices. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm just trying to say that there's a reason why the government has stepped in and has put in more severe regulations, let's just say, in the industry.
No, I appreciate that insight so much. It's not a viewpoint that we hear often. It seems like the news wants to be first. It doesn't necessarily want to be right or need to be truthful, which is a shame. So speaking with somebody like yourself, who is operating a business there, who has experience, who's worked in the Chinese jurisdiction for I don't know how many years, but I know it's a few.
Since
probably
2011, we've been there, Barrington.
Exactly.
10 years.
So
yeah.
So no, we really, really appreciate it. Now let's move on to current investors and would-be investors. What do they have to look forward to with Peak Fintech Group that you're allowed to say?
No, yeah. Now, we one of the things about this company, Barrington, is that we are very transparent. We have a game plan, we have a vision, and we're executing, but we're telling people what we're going to do, right? So things short term right now, what we're looking to get done is talking to you about this is a little bit like tricky, but the move to the NASDAQ, right? I think you're aware that we are looking to graduate to a senior exchange in the U.S., the Nasdaq. Now, the CSE has been fantastic to us. Barrington, you know how I feel about the CSE. I've told you that every opportunity I have, I will praise the CSE because you guys have been fantastic partners for us. Ever since we joined the exchange, you truly are the exchange for the entrepreneur. Other than the NASDAQ, well, the expansion to North America, this is something that we definitely want to do. We want to be at least in Canada by the end of the year with operations and generating revenue, and if possible in the US as well. But certainly we want to be in the US by, call it, first or second quarter of 2022. So those are some big events that investors can look forward to.
Appreciate the kind words and the sentiment. Everyone's, you know what? We the last time we spoke, we talked a little bit about food.
Because, yes, the dumplings.
Yeah, let's for the uninitiated, we like to eat. And what is the dish you miss most because of lockdown and remaining in Quebec? What is the dish you miss most?
China? Yeah. Without a doubt. Okay. Golden's mother's dumplings. When we go, yeah. For those who don't know, Golden is the co-founder of Publer and Peak. He's my best friend. We're running this company together. We would not be in China if it was not for Golden. So, by the way, we have a vision. We had a game plan, a vision. We started with this business of concept in 2017. And he's executing over there. We had a vision, and sometimes he sometimes wants to deviate a little bit from the vision. So I have to kind of bring him back. No. There are so many opportunities. I have to bring him back, but he has delivered, as the market will see. I haven't been able to travel to China, so he's had to do a lot of the heavy lifting himself in terms of getting deals closed, but we speak on a regular basis. But going back, I kind of drifted a little bit from the topic.
No.
But going back to what we were saying, every time we go to China, lately the last couple of years, because his mother used to live in a different city, but she now moved to Wuxi, where we go. That's where our head office is in China. So every time the last couple of years we've gone back, she's made dumplings for us, and wow, Barrington, I'm already a big, I told you from last time, I was already a big fan of dumplings, but without a doubt, she makes the best dumplings in the city and perhaps the whole province. So that's the most.
That's now I'm hungry, and I'm probably going to order some dumplings. Mine are pork dumplings, fried pork dumplings.
Oh yeah, no, you can't go wrong with dumplings. You just can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. And for those listening and maybe those watching, we want to say thank you for taking the time to learn, either learn or relearn about Peak Fintech Group. We wish you nothing but continued success. Please stay safe. Please let us know if there's anything that we can do. If you like this type of programming and you wish to hear more, let us know. Drop us a line, media@thecse.com. As well, you can check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. On YouTube, CSE TV. If you don't know, we have now hit 700 listings. We have also hit, I believe, 5,000 subscribers on LinkedIn. So we are moving in the right direction, and we couldn't have done this without you. And we wouldn't be here without companies like Peak Fintech Group, trading on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Thank you for listening, and thank you for the time and for educating not only myself, but everyone involved.
Always a pleasure, Barrington. It was really, really nice to see you again after pandemic and everything. So
I know. I even dressed up. For you.
Thanks.
Okay. Take care, and we'll see you at the next episode.
All right.